Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at all the LEGO Batmobiles in my collection. Now we're going to be taking a look at these in order of the media it was released in. There are 6 Batmobiles in total, so without further ado, let's get started. The first set we're going to be taking a look at is set number 76224, the Batman 89 Batmobile. And you can just kind of see right off the bat this set is very detailed. I will say this is probably one of the most iconic Batmobiles there is, and they just captured it perfectly in LEGO. Here you can see sort of the techniques they used to build this, and it just looks fantastic. Now let's take a look at one of my favorite play features in this set, and that is the ability to turn this leather. You can see that just pops up. Here's another angle. And you can just put those pieces back on there very nice and easy. I also really like how the gun part is used to give the car some extra mechanical detail. And of course you are able to take the top off and hear how that goes. And you can see there is a very nice printed piece with all the buttons on it, and that just looks fantastic. Here is the Batman figure I'm going to be using to place in this. And you can just place them in there. It's a really nice fit. Great for play, and you can just snap that piece back on there. I really do like how low the wheels are to the car. Here is the fire piece that's also included in this set, and you can detach it. But another play feature is if you put this in, it actually spins with the car when you move it. Here you can see some more detail in the back, and I am a big fan of the binocular piece that is used for part of the engine, and that looks really good. Here you can actually lift this up to access the trunk. And you can see I have a batarang in there. You can just close that up. I also really do like how they added the bat wing in the back, and I want to take a look at it. So you can see there are some very nice pieces used, and you can just take that off. And it's just a very nice build, and it looks fantastic. And you can just see that there are some pieces in there that you wouldn't see otherwise, like some colored bricks. That looks very nice. Here's a look at the front, and I am a big fan of how the grille looks. It just looks fantastic, that wheel piece, and the front does look very nice. Taking a look at the next set is the Batman the Animated Series Batmobile, given set number 76274. I love the front of this build, the stickers, and the grille is fantastic. And here are the stud shooters on the set. You can see you can just press down on this. And the second one I have trouble working sometimes, but you can see it works eventually. Now this car has an interesting shape. It is very long and very wide. You can see it is also has a really flat aesthetic, which I am a big fan of. And these stud shooters you can actually remove. So let's do that. You can do that to both sides, and you can still see the holes there, but it does look a lot better. Taking a look at the cockpit, you are able to access it very nicely, and it is a very small cockpit, but with some really nice detail, which you can see here. The stickers look very nice. Probably my favorite cockpit out of all of them. There is an open space in the back for the rubber capes, which is very interesting. Taking our figure here, you can see with the rubber cape, you can just add him in there, and it is kind of hard to get him to maneuver in there, but you can see it does work fine with the gap in the back, and you can close that on up. I also really like how they angled this piece to give it some more shape and just make it more of an accurate shape. You can see kind of wiggle that and adjust it. Now, one of my favorite techniques they use is they clipped this section on, which is just, it was really interesting to build, I say that. And here you can see how you can just put that back in there. Definitely a surprise while building this. Here is a look at the back. And the back also looks fantastic, and I really do like the barrel piece that is used. And there is a fire piece included, which similar to the 89 Batmobile, you can just attach in there. And if you drive it back and forth, it'll spin, which is, again, a very nice feature. And here is a look at the driving overall. It is very nice and smooth. Here's a look at the underside, and I do like the ability to see the gears being used to move the fire piece. The boat is very flat and very detailed, minimal studs showing. I really do like that. The next Batmobile we're going to be taking a look at is the Tumbler that's based off Batman Begins. Now this is a fantastic set. You can see there's some sticker detail up front, which looks very nice. And there are some stud shooters included. However, I am missing the studs currently. And there is some foldable adjustments you can make. You can pull all these down. You can see there are some transparent window pieces. And you can see some silver detailing and some gold detailing, which looks very nice. And there are some more foldable adjustments you can make. And there's some nice sticker detailing there with the yellow dots. And you can see it looks very interesting with all the things down. And you can just fold them back up. It is really nice to play around with. You can see just folding that all back up. And yeah, it looks very nice. Here's a side view. And you can fold these little panels up, which look very nice. You can actually adjust those. There's a look at the back, and you can see these that you can adjust those too. And here is a look at the back. You can actually attach a firepiece, and these tires are just ginormous. I mean, look at these. They're huge. And you can roll them back. And here's another look at these side sections that you can actually take off. Here's a look at that. It is a little bit hard, but you can get it eventually. And you can see there is some nice detailing too. You can fold that up. And here is another look at it. Taking that off. And here is a look at the section I'm talking about. And it is a very well-built section with some posable features. And there is some nice detail back there. And here is a look at the side. It looks very nice. The shaping is very good. And here is a look at it rolling back and forth. And of course, there's a cockpit included, which is huge. You can actually fit 2 figures inside. Unfortunately, there is no seats. There is storage for a batarang, which is very cool. And inside, you can see that there is some green cheese slopes, which I'm not really sure what they represent. Maybe just some bigger buttons. And there is 2 printed tiles along with a steering console. And it looks very nice overall. Here is a look at putting the figure inside. Of course, you're also able to take the figure out. Here's a look at that. And put it in the other seat, which is a little bit finicky, of course. There isn't enough room for the cape to get proper. And you can just shut that on up. Now, taking a look at one of the newest Batmobiles, actually the newest one that's been released. This is one of the more controversial options. However, it is packed with detail. This is the LEGO Tumbler based off of The Dark Knight, given set number 76303. This is definitely a small vehicle that's packed with detail. And you can fold all these panels down, similar to the one that's based off Batman Begins. And it is a little bit smaller. Like, it's a lot smaller. The pieces, you can just tell comparing it. It's just so much smaller. And you can just fold it back up, of course. Very nice and easy. Spinning it around, you can see there it's just packed with detail. I love all the greebling techniques to give it texture. You can see the wheel there and the gold piece behind it. And there's some stud shooters here, which can shoot. I'm not sure if I like them better in the front or in the back. And, of course, you can move the back panels. And the tire is just such a downhill. You can really tell by the tires. It is just so small. And there's a flame piece. However, it does not move like the other sets. Transitioning our way up to the top of the vehicle, you can see there is some gold clips holding in that black piece, which looks very nice. And the top is just full of detail. And it's just good looking, even though it's a lot smaller. And you can see the 2 gold pieces similar to the other one, which I actually do like better on this. And you can see how the detailing on the front of, or the opening part of the cockpit is very nice. And you can just open that on up. And you can see, again, the detailing is just so great. Here's a look on the inside of the cockpit, which is very small and very lackluster. There is a clip for a batarang here. And I just hate this cockpit, to be frank. It's off-centered. Like, it's not centered right, and it's just very weird. Here's our figure that we're going to be taking a look at. Of course, this has the rubber cape, and it's just such a tight fit. Here you can see putting it in there. It's just a really, really tight fit. And I don't know if I like it. And you can just close that on up. And, of course, you can drive it back and forth. Now we have one of the smallest Batmobiles, which is 76045. You can see there's some stud shooters, however, I am missing the studs. And you can see it is just a very small vehicle. That does not mean that it isn't packed with detail. So let's take a look at it. You can see here's the front of the vehicle, which looks rather good. And there's just some nice panel work here. Here's a look at the side, which again looks very, very nice. And you can see the wheels don't really look the best. You can see there's some stud shooters. And these are these guns, which look very nice. Here's another look at the side. Transitioning our way up to the top. And there is a gap here we have the Batman vs Superman logo, and here's a look at the gap I was talking about, which is on the cockpit pieces. There is just a very noticeable gap. And you can just open those up as well. And this is a very embarrassing cockpit. There's not even a proper steering function. There's just some buttons. Here's the figure we'll be taking and placing inside. You can see he fits very nicely. A very easy fit, no problem there. And you just close it on up. I'm a big fan of the cockpit pieces they used to create for this. And it's just very small. Here's a size comparison with my hand. And it's just very, very small. The next one we're going to be taking a look at is the Batman Batmobile. Given set number 76181. This is the last Batmobile we're going to be taking a look at. And this is one of my favorites. It looks very, very good based off a muscle car. The front looks very, very nice. You can see the detail there. It looks fantastic. There are some blue power pieces, which are very, very interesting. Here's a look at the side. And you can just see there's just so much pieces to give it detail. You can see how it is based off a muscle car, and you can see the expansion in the back. Here's a look at the power pieces used. And they can just come off. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It does look good when it's in action, but you can, of course, take them off. And you can put them back on. Here are the wheels, which I'm not sure why they use this piece because it's off-centered a lot. And you can see it's just different from the other wheel. Here's a look at the front sticker, which looks very nice. And there is a play feature, which you can shoot this. And out comes some spring-loaded missiles, which is fantastic. Here's a look at it on the Penguin. And this is a slow-motion video, which really gives you the sense of how fast these come out and how powerful they are. And I just love this car. Here's a look at the back, and you can see there is some very nice detail. You can drive it back and forth, and it just looks fantastic. You can see the engine in particular. Oh my gosh, this is just fantastic. Now, you can remove these sections to take a better look at them. And you can just see the detail and how they accomplished this look on the engine it's based off, which is fantastic. And you see there is a transparent 1x2 there. And of course, you can see there are some blue power pieces to give the effect of that it's driving. And there is this piece here, which looks very nice. Taking a look at the inside of the Batmobile, it is very, very nice, compact with a lot of detail. Unfortunately, there is no chairs, but you can see 2 minifigures in here. And let's take a look at that. So it is a rather easy fit, not much struggle. I guess you could put the Penguin in there if you want, but I mean, why would you put him in there? And you can just close it back up. And this is just a fantastic set. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for this video. Now, I love all these Batmobiles. And I'm just so glad I got to make this video. It was one of the hardest videos I made, but I think one of the best videos I made. So if you stuck it out all the way to the end, please hit that like button or even subscribe. It really helps me out, guys, and I worked really hard on this video. If you'd like to see more videos up to this quality, let me know, and let me know if you have any suggestions. Alright everyone, that's going to do it. Bye.